Sweet Baby Inc. is anything but sweet, you revolutionary bastards. I haven't heard of this group until a few days ago, when couple people started mentioning it more and more. Upon quick check, it was clear they are one of the bigger culprits of the gaming industry at this point, but they are just a hand of a nasty shadow bank. A studio that basically injects woke agendas into stories to alter the experience for the sake of diversity, inclusion and all the other brainwashing, anti-free thinking bollocks. Before I delve into it a bit more, have to mention a Curator group on Steam called Sweet Baby Inc. Detected that already has over 200,000 followers at the time of doing this video. There, every game that has confirmed Sweet Baby influence is displayed, so people know what they are purchasing. Link to this Curator is in the description. Or just go to Steam app homepage and click Buy Curators on the left. Type Sweet Baby into search and follow. I appreciate this Curator a lot because they offer transparency in a very obscure industry when it comes to information. It's all PR and very little truth. When it comes to voting with your money, such information provided is quite valuable. Why is Sweet Baby Inc. a problem? It is part of BlackRock investment group, one of the largest investment groups in the world with hefty investments in Amazon, Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft, Google, Tesla, Visa, MasterCard, Johnson & Johnson and practically everything else you've heard of. They have been called a shadow bank and have been pushing DEI and ESG policies into companies associated with them. DEI stands for diversity, equity and inclusion, while ESG stands for environmental social governance. It's pretty much self-explanatory, right? Let's rename and group those two abbreviations into something more convenient like utter bollocks. BlackRock is forcing utter bollocks on the invested companies. Basically, if you don't want utter bollocks in your game, then no funding for you. Very troubling for creators that want their products as close to the original vision. BlackRock are the problem in many layers of life, but I can't talk about everything I want to share without getting majorly screwed by YouTube if video gets some traction, so let's stick to gaming. Sweet Baby is a mandatory consulting group that works with developers and writers to inject these utter bollocks policies into games, regardless of the impact on quality. Last of Us 2 is one of the bigger examples of how these policies can ruin the story, but I don't know if BlackRock and Sweet Baby had anything to do with it. It's just a good example of forced inclusions that directly affected the story in a negative way by having nonsensical characters in it that break immersion and take the player out of the world and the story. I have no problem with inclusions in gaming, but there is a difference between organic and forced inclusions. Organic means when writers are writing a story from the ground up so that every aspect of every character and event is part of a whole. Forced inclusion is where you already have something in mind that needs to be included no matter how out of place it is. So when Sweet Baby Inc. comes in with utter bollocks requirements, every good writer is going to try to include outside things into the story by altering the story so that it would make sense in the grand scheme of things. This is where writer's vision is influenced by the outside force and directly affects the quality in a negative way. Developers to get funded need to present their project to the investing company for the company to invest and greenlight the whole thing. Then Sweet Baby, the consulting studio, goes to work to alter the project in as many ways as possible, and devs and writers can't do anything about it. They are at their mercy, and all they can hope is that original vision is already in line to some extent with the investors so that it doesn't get changed that much. So companies that have woke agendas are gonna easily get funding, while others that don't want to include politics are gonna have to alter their projects so that it aligns with the political agendas or perish due to lack of resources. By the way, woke movement is nothing but a political movement. It has no one's interest at heart but the creators for the purpose of creating powerful and wealthy political, social and economic infrastructure with perpetual consumers and voters, creating a dangerous social and economical push that infiltrates and affects everyone's lives under false pretenses of higher morality. When in truth it is amoral because it is a totalitarianistic regime that suppresses thoughts, free thinking and manipulates followers of their political agendas to a point of no control over oneself due to emotional manipulation for easy creation of degenerate zealot-like followers. Dangerous thing is that BlackRock is trying to implement utter bollocks policies into banks so that any business loans would have to abide by these policies. I don't know how successful they are at that, but there have been some US states rejecting these policies. They have tried bringing it into EU banks too. Scary shit, isn't it? Grand vision or the end goal of BlackRock is to create easily manipulated masses that will rather vote with their money for projects that are aligned with their utter bollocks agendas due to the aversion to anything else that is not aligned with the message. It is brainwashing on a potentially global scale, creating perpetual customers through agendas. So BlackRock benefits financially through manipulated consumers without consumers even knowing who BlackRock are. It's a simple strategy that worked throughout the history. Create something easily understandable and mask it as whatever the hell you want for the purpose of acquiring power. Cult, political party, religion, revolution, sports teams. It is much easier to control people through a common and easily understandable goal. This is done by creating a policy like the woke movement and masquerade it as a moral high ground. There needs to be a non-economic based message for it to work though. Not saying BlackRock invented woke, but they are pushing it heavily. So they manipulate what woke actually is and present it as an incredibly moral way of creating equality, but in the end the only thing that matters is how creators of such movement can gain power through influence and wealth associated with subliminally and openly manipulated masses. More it grows, more powerful they become. Unfortunately, equality of outcome is a dangerous thing. People easily forget that totalitarianistic regimes throughout the 20th century had those ideas too presented in a different way. How did that end? With over 100 million corpses. Older folk can see through the veil more easily due to their experiences with the systems they grew up in, to see through the bullshit served to people. Like my grandpa has been telling me my whole life. In the end, it comes down to everyone trying to sell you something. Compared to older and experienced folk, younger people are more gullible, emotional, and have a tendency to join groups and allow their thoughts to be more suppressed for the sake of the group thinking due to popularity pressure and the need to be accepted. They are still buying into the whole change the world through our system bollocks. Many older folk do as well, but generally speaking older people are more aware of others and can see through the veil quicker. That is why they are more suspicious, which I am sure you've noticed. Politicians and companies have been selling them the same shit they are peddling to young folks, but they have seen it far too many times already. They have invested into pushing the agenda through invested companies and products to more easily create perpetual customers, which is gonna pay off in the long run if it succeeds. If it doesn't, they will be the first ones to back out, because they don't care about policies, people, quality, fairness and general goodness. They just want more money and power, of which they have a lot already. If people show with their money vote that they don't want it, then you can bet your ass they will be singing to a new potentially profitable tune in an instant. Influential and powerful corporations like BlackRock can be extremely dangerous though, depending on how big their reach gets. By controlling other massive corporations, they control jobs and funding. Basically, they can hold countries hostage and infiltrate all spheres of life. Educational system has already been targeted for the purpose of creating young, perpetual and brainwashed voters and consumers, and BlackRock is just building on it. I could go on and on why that is and how deep the rabbit hole gets, but have to shut my mouth due to being on totalitarianistic tube owned by Google, in which BlackRock has heavy investment. Anyway, thanks all for watching, hopefully you understand what I'm trying to say here. Thanks to Steam Curator Sweet Baby Incorporated Detected, because that kind of transparency is very important in this day and age when money spent is the most important vote.